Big breaking news. Manchester United have sacked Jose Mourinho. He was appointed in 2016 and he leaves the club after 144 games in charge. We need to get some reaction to this, and we're going to get Gary Neville on the phone right now. Actually, Gary, good morning to you. Thanks very much for coming on so soon after this news has broken. What do you think about this news, especially the timing of it? Has that surprised you?
I'm not sure, really. I think the moment earlier on in the season where it was clear that the board decided that they didn't want to back a couple of Jose Mourinho signings, to be honest with you, at that point, you finished as a manager. I think that from a club point of view, obviously they gave him a new contract last January. In the summer, Jose obviously wanted to sign one or two centre-backs. Those one or two centre-backs were identified. And the club obviously have the ability and the right to say no to those signings if they don't feel it's right. But you have to understand the consequence that once you undermine a manager or don't agree with his signing and you're going against them, maybe for the right reasons from a club point of view, but if you're a manager, particularly of the sort of stature of Jose Mourinho, you're on a collision course. And what we've seen in the last 3 or 4 months is it play out in public. And I said on Sunday after the game against Liverpool that Manchester United have been crawling along on their hands and knees, minute after minute, hour after hour, match to match for the last few weeks, months. And it's been unpleasant, it's been unsavoury. You could see on the pitch it's impacting the players, who, to be honest with you, at this moment in time just look completely, I don't know what word you would describe to, but they look demoralised. Some games they look disinterested, some games they look inspired for 20-minute periods, but so inconsistent. And the sacking of Jose Mourinho, to be honest with you, is a result of what happened last summer when Jose came back first day of pre-season tour and said basically he started sort of making complaints in the media. You knew that this was going to rumble on, and there had to be a sort of control grabbed at that time. It wasn't. It played out all the way through the transfer window, and a consequence of not backing your manager or going against your manager on one or two signings, it never ends well.
And that there, I mean, you said there how it's played out in public. Now, we know that Manchester United don't like any dirty laundry to be aired in public. But I think it was what you're saying there. Some of this is the board's fault and some of it's the manager's fault.
Yeah, absolutely. It's never as simple. It's never as simple as just being the manager's problem. The players take responsibility, the board take responsibility, the manager and the coaching staff, obviously. You know, what I would say is now there have been 7 years of poor decisions, of poor recruitment. I have no idea who makes the decisions in the football club from a point of view of recruitment and structure. Who has the final say? So who is it that's telling Jose Mourinho that those players shouldn't be signed? You know, I can't see anybody in the football club that's got the qualification to do that. Now, if they think that basically they're not the right signings for the club, that's fine. But to me, the recruitment over the last few years has been erratic. The current management team have had now 3 chances at appointing a manager. They're probably going to get their 4th. And my personal view is that, and I've said this for some time, the club needs to reset. This is not just a moment to sack Jose Mourinho and appoint another manager. This is a moment for the club to take stock of what they're doing, to reset the structure in terms of recruitment, in terms of the football decision-making in the football club, and make sure that what they do next is the right move. And that's not about speed. That's not about going and rushing in the sort of, first manager that's available. That's about making sure the next manager is the right manager. They'll have to pay for him probably, if it's the one we think it's going to be. And the reality of that is that they're going to have to make sure they put the right football structure in around it. I don't know how they see it as a positive that they've got 65 scouts. I see it as confusion, particularly if you've not got what would be a definitive individual who, to be fair, has a level of sort of control. So they've got to reset the football structure within the club. They've got to put more intelligent people in there who understand the football side of things and not just hide behind the manager and Jose Mourinho. They have to look at themselves as well and make sure that there isn't just change at sort of managerial level, at other level. And then going down to the players, the players, to be fair, have seen this play out in the dressing room. It is never easy for players when you can see that there are problems above. But the players themselves will now come under pressure because they can no longer blame the manager. They've no longer got the guy to look up to that they can blame and say, oh, he's not getting the best out of us. He's negative tactics. That excuse is now gone, so they've got nowhere to hide now as well.
You did say there, if it's the manager we think it's going to be, Manchester United will probably have to pay for him. Who is that? Who were you alluding to?
I said last season that, for me, the next manager of Manchester United should be Maurizio Pochettino. And not just because he's done a good job at Everton. When I look at the values of Manchester United, you look at Maurizio Pochettino's belief in young players at Southampton and with Tottenham. You look at his performance levels and the style of play. You look at the way in which he carries himself at all times, publicly and in private. I've been fortunate enough to spend 2 or 3 days at Tottenham's training ground, and for me, he just feels like the most ideal candidate. The others will say no, but Manchester United have tried managers who've won European Cups. They've tried managers who've won multiple leagues. They've tried managers, to be fair, who have, if you like, had that sort of solid grounding in the Premier League. My view would be that they need someone who meets the 3 key principles of that football club, and that is the promotion of youth, entertaining football, and to win football matches. At this moment in time, I see him. You know, people will suggest that he hasn't won a trophy yet at Tottenham, but with a net spend, I think, of minus 29 million or something over the last 4 years, I'm not quite sure what, to be fair, he could have done more. He's done the most incredible job, and I do think he is the person who is the outstanding candidate. But, you know, if you're a Tottenham Hotspur fan, you won't appreciate me saying that. If you're Daniel Levy at Tottenham Hotspur, you'll be grabbing and holding on for dear life as you move into a new stadium. But he is the individual who, to be fair, I think fits the profile of what Manchester United need, and in terms of what he's done in the Premier League over the last sort of 5, 6, 7 years at both clubs.
And that would make sense, actually, Gary, because Michael Carrick, we're just being told, it's just getting confirmation now that Michael Carrick is going to be acting first-team manager until the end of the season. So, sorry, acting interim manager. I've got to get that wording right. Until the end of the season, until a full-time manager is found. This is just coming to my ear right now, Gary, so I'm just giving you this news at the exact moment that I'm getting it, OK? Until a full-time manager is found. And we're being told now, expect someone to be appointed in 38 hours, I'm being told. That's a very strange time. An external appointment made in the next 38 hours. I'm sure they must mean 48 hours, surely. But, OK, external appointment being made, all right. So that's just coming to me. So sorry if that was a bit of gobbledygook there, Gary. I'll clear that up in just a moment. But with Michael Carrick being the caretaker manager, does that make sense to you? He's already at the club. He's been at the club for so long.
Sorry, I'm not quite sure what you're telling me. Are you telling me Michael Carrick's going to be appointed to 38 hours and then they're going to appoint a full-time replacement?
1 second. Right, he's in interim charge for 2 days, OK? This is just coming to me now. And then they're going to appoint an external temporary manager until the end of the season. Right, now that makes sense. So Michael Carrick is manager for the next 2 days, and then they're going to have another temporary manager, but until the end of the season. Does that make sense to you?
No, it's making me laugh, actually. I think it might have made sense just to appoint the manager in 2 days' time, or sack this current manager that they've got rid of in 2 days' time. Look, I don't know. I mean, you're hearing things off the cuff, and to be fair, it doesn't make sense, that, to me. I mean, Michael Carrick knows the football club inside out. He gets the football club. And to be honest with you, what I would say is that we've seen in the past where managers have been given the job to the end of the season, that if Michael Carrick was to take the job to the end of the season and do brilliantly well, and the team were to play well under him, then it's his to lose. And the fact of the matter is, Michael, he's really dedicated to his coaching. He's a brilliant person. The players, I'm sure, will respond to him. And he gets the football club. There's no doubt about that. Obviously, people, you would suggest that it's a massive role for him in terms of his first job. But, Michael will get all the support from, the people inside. He'll get all the support from the fans. The fans always support the manager of the football club. I have to say what I should say. It's always talking about the new manager. Jose Mourinho is a wonderful manager, and I think it would be wrong of me to sort of go off this call, because I've never bought into the idea that Jose Mourinho is a sort of spent force, that he's a manager that now has run his course. If you're going to be a manager like he has, the most successful manager along with Pep Guardiola for the last 15, 20 years in global football, not just in this league, in all leagues in Europe, then you're going to have a dip. And that dip isn't always sometimes down to yourself. There are always other factors. And Manchester United, as Jose Mourinho came, is a very difficult football club at this moment in time. Coming out of the sort of Sir Alex Ferguson era, coming into an era where two managers, David Moyes and Louis van Gaal, have already been sacked. And basically, yes, he's been supported in the transfer market to a level, but it's a difficult club to come into at a time where other clubs are doing things better. There is no doubt at this moment in time, and this is an absolute clear message that I want to make, that the manager of that football club in the last 2 or 3 years, whoever that would have been, would have found it very difficult, because Manchester City and Liverpool and Tottenham are doing things far better off the pitch, not just on the pitch. And that's really important when you're at a football club, that the actual mechanisms and the structure around the place is ideal for a manager. The manager needs to be given the platform. Yeah, being given the money is one thing, but also ensuring that the right support's around. And I have to say, at this moment in time, Manchester United have fallen behind in the last 5, 6, 7 years on the football side of things, on and off the pitch.
Let me just clear something up for you, the viewers, and myself as well, actually, Gary. Let me just give you the exact wording of what I was trying to say earlier. Michael Carrick will be acting as interim manager until a new temporary manager is appointed within 48 hours. This will be an external appointment. Until then, Carrick will take training with Kieran McKenna. So that just clears that up. Just to also let you know, Gary, that the bookies' favourite at the moment for the job permanently is Zinedine Zidane. That's very different to what you're saying about Mauricio Pochettino, for instance.
Well, look, I'm not on the inside in the football club. I'm not there to select the manager. You've asked me who I think should be the next manager of Manchester United. Zinedine Zidane has won 3 European Cups in the last 4 seasons. So from that point of view, I don't think anybody could argue with his pedigree. He's been world-class on the pitch. He's now been world-class in the dugout at Real Madrid. He wouldn't be my choice in the sense of I would choose Mauricio Pochettino, but on the other hand, you couldn't argue with the introduction of Zinedine Zidane because of his record in the last 4 years. What I would say is, at this moment in time, any manager coming into that football club needs to make sure that they come in with some of their own ground rules and they ensure that the support around them is correct, or else they won't succeed. Because if Manchester City and Liverpool and Tottenham are buying better players, getting sort of, if you like, the first in on players, and got a better recruitment department and better support network, they'll still do better. There were clubs that outspent Manchester United for many, many years, 10, 12, 15 years ago, and Manchester United was still winning leagues. So it's not just always about the sort of money that you throw at it. Obviously it has a big impact, but there is also going to need to be more than that.
Gary, really appreciate your time this morning. This is massive news.
Thank you.